Capítulo 6AB. Tarjetas virtuales. Nombre Aurora. Alquilar. El amor. El empate. Riddle time. La reina. El aficionado, la aficionada. Morirse. La víctima. La traición. El ladrón, la ladrona, verás, los ladrones. Matar. El, la extraterrestre. El, la atleta. Alfred Nobel. El premio. Aplaudir. La Liga. La entrevista. Enojado. La estrella del cine. La detective. El entrenador. La entrenadora. Frankensteins creación. Persona principal. El crítico. La crítica. La escena. El presentador. La presentadora. She waited the fire. That's pretty good. Alegre. Al fin. All right. Hope you guys enjoy it. You guys ready for next weekend? It's going to be the finale of Spanish 2 Honors. Woo! Woo! Hello there. Christian. Stately, plump Buck Mulligan came from the stairhead, bearing a bowl of lather on which a mirror and a razor lay crossed. A yellow dressing gown, ungirdled, was sustained gently behind him by the mild morning air. He held the bowl aloft and intoned, "In Schwebe at altere day." Halted, he peered down the dark window walking the stairs and called up coarsely, "Come up, Kinch! Come up, you fearful Jesuit!" Solemnly, he came forward and mounted the brown gun rest. He faced about and less gravely faced the tower, the surrounding country, and the awaking mountains. Then, catching sight of Stephen Daedalus, he bent toward him and made rapid crosses in the air, gurgling in his throat and shaking his head. Stephen Daedalus, displeased and sleepy, leaned his arms on the top of the staircase and looked coldly at the shaking, gurgling face that blessed him, equine in its length, and at the light, untonsured hair, grained and hued like pale oak. Buck Mulligan peered an instant under the mirror and then covered the bowl smartly. "Back to barracks," he said sternly. He added in the preacher's tone, "For this, O dearly beloved, is the genuine Christine. Body and soul and blood and ons. Slow music, please. Shut your eyes, gents. One moment. A little trouble about those white corpuscles. Silence, all." He peered sideways up and gave a long, low whistle of a call, then paused a while in rapt attention, his even white teeth glistening here and there with golden points. Chrysotomos. 2 strong, shrill whistles answered through the calm. "Thanks, old chap," he cried briskly. "I will do what I see. Switch off the current, will you?" He skipped off the gun rest and looked gravely at his watcher, gathering about his legs the loose folds of his gown. The plump, shadowed face and sullen oval jowl recalled the prelate, patron of arts in the Middle Ages. A pleasant smile broke quietly over his lips. "The mockery of it," he said gaily. "Your absurd name, in ancient Greek." He pointed his finger in friendly jest and went over to the parapet, laughing to himself. Stephen Daedalus stepped up, followed him warily halfway, and sat down on the edge of the gun rest, watching him still as he propped his mirror on the parapet, dipped the brush in the bowl, and lathered cheeks and neck. Buck Mulligan's gay voice went on. My name is absurd too. Maligan Mulligai, 2 dactyls. It has a Hellenic ring, hasn't it? Tripping and sunny like the Buck himself. We must go to Athens. Will you come if I can get the aunt to fork out the 20 quid? He laid the brush aside and, laughing with delight, cried, Will he come, the Genjun Jesuit? Ceasing, he began to shave with care. Tell me, Mulligan, Stephen said quietly. Yes, my love. How long is Hames going to stay in this tower? Buck Mulligan showed a shaven cheek over his right shoulder. God, isn't he dreadful, he said frankly. A ponderous Saxon. He thinks you're not a gentleman. God, these bloody English, bursting with money and indigestion, because he comes from Oxford. You know, Daedalus, you have the real Oxford manner. He can't make you out. Oh, my name for you is the best. Kinch, the knife blade. He shaved warily over his chin. He's raving all night about a Black Panther, Stephen said. Where is his gun case? A woeful lunatic, Mulligan said. Were you in a funk? I was, Stephen said with energy and growing fear. Out here in the dark with a man I don't know raving and moaning to himself about shooting a Black Panther. You saved men from drowning. I'm not a hero, however. If he stays on here, I am off. Buck Mulligan frowned at the lather on his razor blade. He hopped down from his perch and began to search his trouser pockets hastily. Scudder, he cried thickly. He came over to the gun rest and, thrusting a hand into Stephen's upper pocket, said, Lend us a loan of your nose rag to wipe my razor. Stephen suffered him to pull out and hold up on show by its corner a dirty, crumpled handkerchief. Buck Mulligan wiped the razor blade neatly. Then, gazing over the handkerchief, he said, A bard's nose rag, a new art color for our Irish poets. Snot green. You can almost taste it, can't you? He mounted the parapet again and gazed out over Dublin Bay, his fair oak-pale hair stirring slightly. God, he said quietly, isn't the sea what Algie calls it? A great sweet mother. The snot-green sea. The scrotum-tightening sea. Epi onopa ponton. Ah, Daedalus, the Greeks, I must teach you. You must read them in the original. Phalata, Phalata. She's our great sweet mother. Come and look. Stephen stood up and went over to the parapet. Leaning on it, he looked down on the water and on the mailboat clearing the harbor mouth of Kingstown. Our mighty mother, Buck Mulligan said. He turned abruptly, his great searching eyes from the sea to Stephen's face. Yet thinks you killed your mother, he said. That's why she won't let me have anything to do with you. Someone killed her, Stephen said gloomily. Could have knelt down, damn it, Kinch, when your own dying mother asked you, Buck Mulligan said. I'm Hyperborean as much as you, but to think of your mother begging you with her last breath to kneel down and pray for her, and you refused. There's something sinister in you. He broke off and lathered again lightly his farther cheek. A tolerant smile curled his lips. But a lovely mother, he murmured to himself. Kinch, the loveliest mummer of them all. He shaved evenly and with care, in silence, seriously. Stephen, an elbow rested on the jagged granite, leaned his palm against his brow and gazed at the fraying edge of his shiny black coat sleeve. Pain, that was not yet the pain of love, threatened his heart. Silently in a dream she had come to him after her death, her wasted body with its loose, brown grave clothing, giving off an odor of wax and rosewood, her breath that had bent upon him, mute, reproachful, a faint odor of wet ashes. Across the threadbare cottage, he saw the sea hailed as a great sweet mother by the whelped voice beside him. The ring of bay and skyline held a dull green mass of liquid. A bowl of white china had stood beside her deathbed, holding the green sluggish bile which she had torn up from her rotting liver by fits of loud groaning vomiting. Buck Mulligan wiped again his razor blade. Ah, poor dog's body, he said in a kind voice. I must give you a shirt and a few nose rags. How are the second-hand breeks? They fit well enough, Stephen answered. Buck Mulligan attached the hollow beneath his underlip. The mockery of it, he said contentedly. Second leg they should be. God knows what poxy bosey left them off. I have a lovely pair with a hair stripe, grey. You look spiffing in them. I'm not joking, Kinch. You look damn well when you're dressed. Thanks, Stephen said. I can't wear them if they are grey. Can't wear them, Buck Mulligan told his face at the mirror. Etiquette is etiquette. He kills his mother, but can't wear grey trousers. He folded his razor neatly, and with stroking palps of fingers, felt the smooth skin. Stephen turned his gaze from the sea into the plump face with its smoke-blue, mobile eyes. That fellow I was with the ship last night, said Buck Mulligan, says you have GPI. He's up in Dottyville of Connolly Norman. Generic paralysis of the insane. He swept the mirror a half circle in the air to flash the tidings abroad in the sunlight now radiant on the sea. His curling, shaven lips laughed, and the edges of his white glittering teeth. Laughter seized all his strong, well-knit trunk. Look at yourself, he said. You dreadful barn! Stephen bent forward and peered at the mirror held out to him, cleft by a crooked crack, hair on end. The sea and others see me. Who chose this face for me? This is dog's body to rid of vermin. It asked me to. I pinched it out of the skivvy's room, Buck Mulligan said. It does her all right. The ant always keeps plain-looking servants for Malachi. Lead him not until temptation. And her name is Ursula. Laughing away, he brought the mirror away from Stephen's peering eyes. Rage of Caliban at not seeing his face in a mirror, he said. If Wild were only alive to see you. Drawing back and whining, Stephen said with bitterness, it is a symbol of Irish art, the cracked looking-glass of a servant. Buck Mulligan suddenly linked his arm in Stephen's and walked with him round the tower, his razor and mirror clacking in the pocket where he had thrust them. It's not fair to tease you like that, Kinch, is it? He said kindly. God knows you have more spirit than any of them. Parried again. He fears the lancet of my art as I fear that of his. A cold steel pen. Cracked glass of a servant. Tell that to the oxy chap downstairs and touch him for a guinea. He's sticking with money and thinks you're not a gentleman. His old fellow made his tin by selling jalap to Zulus or some bloody swindler. Oh, God. Kinch, if you and I could only work together, we might do something for the island. Hellenize it! Cranley's arm. His arm. And to think of you having to beg from these swine. I'm the only one who knows what you are. Why don't you trust me more? What have you up your nose against me? Is it Haynes? If it makes any noise here, I'll bring down Seymour and we'll give him a ragging worse than they gave Clive Kempthorpe. Young shouts of moneyed voices in Clive Kempthorpe's rooms. Pale faces, they hold their ribs with laughter. One clasping another. Oh, I shall expire. Break the news to her gently, Aubrey, I shall die. Slits ribbons of his shirt, whipping the air, he hops and howls round the table, with trousers down at heels, chased by aids of Magdalene, the tailor shears. A scared calf's face gilded with marmalade. I don't want to be debagged. Did you play the kitty ox with me? Shouts from the open window startling evening in the quadrangle. A deaf gardener, aproned, masked with Matthew Arnold's face, pushes his mower on the sombre lawn, watching narrowly the dancing motes of grasshalms. To ourselves, new paganism. Omphalos. Let him stay, Stephen said. There's nothing wrong with him except at night. And what is it? Buck Mulligan asked impatiently. Cough it up, I'm quite frank with you. What have you against me now? They halted, looking toward the blunt cape of Brayhead that lay on the water like the snout of a sleeping whale. Stephen freed his arm quietly. Do you wish me to tell you? He asked. Yes. What is it? Buck Mulligan answered. I don't remember anything. He looked in Stephen's face as he spoke. A light wind passed his brow, fanning softly his hair, uncombed hair, and stirring silver points of anxiety in his eyes. Stephen, depressed by his own voice, said, Do you remember the first day I went to your house after my mother's death? Buck Mulligan frowned quickly and said,
What? Where? I can't remember anything. I remember only ideas and sensations. Why? What happened in the name of God?
You're making tea, Stephen said. And I went across the landing to get more hot water. Your mother and some visitors came out of the drawing room. She asked you who was in your room.
Yes,
Buck Mulligan said.
What did I say? I forget. You said.
Stephen answered.
Oh, it's only Daedalus whose mother is beastly dead.
A flush which made him seem younger and more engaging rose to Buck Mulligan's cheek.
Did I say that? He asked. Well, what harm is that?
He shook his constraint from him nervously.
And what is death?
He asked.
Your mother's, or yours, or my own. You saw me, your mothers die. I see them pop off every day in the Mater and Richmond and cut up into tripes in the dissecting room. It's a beastly thing and nothing else. It simply doesn't matter. You wouldn't kneel down to pray for your mother on her deathbed when she asked you. Why? Because you have the cursed Jesuit strain in you. Only it's injected the wrong way. To me, it's all a mockery and beastly. Her cerebral lobes are not functioning. She calls the doctor Sir Peter Teasel and picks buttercups off the quilt. Humor her till it's over. You crossed her last wish in death, and yet you sulk with me because I don't whinge like some hired mute from La Lutz. Absurd. I suppose I did say it. I didn't mean to offend the memory of your mother.
He had spoken himself into boldness. Stephen, shielding the gaping words which the wounds had left in his heart, said very coldly, I am not thinking of the offense to my mother.
Of what then?
Buck Mulligan asked. Of the offense to me, Stephen answered. Buck Mulligan swung round on his heel.
Oh, an impossible person, he exclaimed.
He walked off quickly round the parapet. Stephen stood at his post, gazing over the calm sea toward the headland. Sea and headland now grew dim. Pulses were beating in his eyes, veiling their sight, and he felt the fever of his cheeks. A voice within the tower called loudly, Are you up there, Mulligan?
I'm coming,
Buck Mulligan answered. He turned towards Stephen and said,
Look at the sea. What does it care about offenses? Chuck, Loyola, Kinchkin, come on down. The Sassenach wants his morning rashers.
His head halted again for a moment at the top of the staircase, level with the roof.
Don't mope aboard all day, he said. I'm inconsequent. Give up the moody brooding.
His head vanished, but the drone of his descending voice boomed out of the stairhead.
And no more turn aside and brood upon love's bitter mystery, for Fergus rules the brazen cars.
Wood shadows floated silently by through the morning peace from the stairhead seaward, where he gazed. Inshore and farther out, the mirror of water whitened, spurned by light-shod hurrying feet. White breast of the dim sea, the twining stresses, 2 by 2. Hand plucking the harp strings, merging their twining chords. Wave-white wetted words shimmering on the dim tide. A cloud began to cover the sun slowly, shadowing the bay in deeper green. It lay behind him, a bowl of bitter waters. Ferguson's song. I sang it above in the house, holding down the long, dark chords. Her door was open. She wanted to hear my music. Silent of awe and pity, I went to her bedside. She was crying in her wretched bed, for those words, Stephen, love's bitter mystery. Where now? Her secrets. Old feather fans, tasseled dance cards, powdered with musk, a god of amber beads in her locked drawer. A birdcage hung in the sunny window of her house when she was a girl. She heard old Joyce sing in the pantomime of Turco the Terrible and laughed with others when he sang, I am the boy that can enjoy invisibility. Phantasmal mirth, folded away, musk perfumed, and no more turned aside and brood. Folded away in the memory of nature with her toys. Memories beset his brooding brain. Her glass of water from the kitchen tap when she approached the sacrament. A cored apple filled with brown sugar, roasting for her at the hob of a dark autumn evening. Her shapely fingernails reddened by the blood of squashed lice from the children's shirts. In a dream, silently she had come to him. Her wasted body within its loose grave clothes giving off an odor of wax and rosewood.
Her breath bent over him with mute, secret words, a faint odor of wetted ashes. Her glazing eyes, staring out of death, to shake and bend my soul. On me alone, the ghost candle to light her agony, ghostly light on the tortured face, her hoarse, loud breath rattling in horror, while all prayed on their knees, her eyes on me to strike me down. Lileta rutilitium te confessorum terma circumdet. Iubilitamium te virginum chorus excipiet. Ghoul, chewer of corpses. No, mother. Let me be and let me live. Kinch, ahoy!
Buck Mulligan's voice sang from within the tower. It came up nearer up the stairs, calling again. Stephen, still trembling at his soul's cry, heard warm running sunlight, and in the air behind him friendly words.
Daedalus, come down like a good mosey. Breakfast is ready. Haynes is apologizing for waking us last night. It's all right.
I'm coming, Stephen said, turning.
Do for Jesus' sake, Buck Mulligan said. For my sake and for all our sakes.
His head disappeared and reappeared.
I told him your symbol of Irish heart. He says it's very clever. Touch him for a quid, will you? A guinea, I mean.
I get paid this morning, Stephen said.
A school kip?
Buck Mulligan said.
How much? 4 quid? Lend us 1.
If you want it, Stephen said.
4 shining sovereigns,
Buck Mulligan cried with delight.
We'll have a glorious drunk to astonish the druidy druids. 4 omnipotent sovereigns.
He flung up his hands and trampled down the stone stairs, singing out of tune with a Cockney accent.
Oh, won't we have a merry time drinking whiskey, beer and wine, and coronation day. Oh, won't we have a merry time in Coronation Day.
Warm sunshine marrying over the sea, the nickel shaving bowl shone forgotten on the parapet.
Why should I bring it down, or leave it there all day? Forgotten friendship.
He went over to it, held it in his hands a while, feeling its coolness, smelling the clammy slather of the lather in which the brush was stuck.
So I carried the boat of incense then at Clone Goes. I am another now, and yet the same. A servant too. A server of a servant.
In the gloomy, doomed living room of the tower, Buck Mulligan's gowned form moved briskly about the hearth, to and fro, hiding and feeling its yellow glow. 2 shafts of soft daylight fell across the flagged floor from the high barbicans, and at the meeting of their rays a cloud of coal smoke and fumes of fried grease floated, turning.
We'll be choked, Buck Mulligan said. Haynes, open that door, will you?
Stephen laid the shaving bowl on the locker. A tall figure rose from the hammock where it had been sitting, went to the doorway, and pulled open the inner doors.
Have you the key?
A voice answered.
Daedalus has it, Buck Mulligan said. Janie, Mac, I'm choked.
He howled without looking up from the fire.
Kinch!
It's in the lock, Stephen said, coming forward. The key scraped roundly, harshly twice, and when the heavy door had been set ajar, welcomed light and bright air entered. Haynes stood at the doorway, looking out. Stephen hailed his upended valise to the table and sat down to wait. Buck Mulligan tossed the fry onto the dish beside him. Then he carried the dish and a large teapot over to the table, set them down heavily, and sighed with relief.
I'm melting,
he said, as the candle marked him.
But hush! Not a word more on that subject. Kinch, wake up. Bread, butter, honey. Haynes, come in. The grub is ready. Bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts. Where's the sugar? Oh, Jay, there's no milk.
Stephen fetched the loaf and the pot of honey and the butter cooler from the locker. Buck Mulligan sat down in a sudden pet.
What sort of a kip is this? He said. I told her to come after 8.
You can drink it black, Stephen said. There's a lemon in the locker.
Oh, damn you and your Paris fads,
Buck Mulligan said.
I want Sandy Cove milk.
Haynes came in from the doorway and said quietly.
A woman is coming up with the milk. The blessings of God on you,
Buck Mulligan cried,
jumping up from his chair. Sit down, pour out the tea there. The sugar is in the bag. Here, I can't go fumbling at the damned eggs.
He hacked through the fry on the dish and slapped it out on 3 plates, saying,
In nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti.
Haynes sat down to pour out the tea.
I'm giving you 2 lumps each, he said. But I say, Mulligan, you do make strong tea, don't you?
Buck Mulligan, hewing thick slices from the loaf, said in an old woman's wheedling voice,
When I make tea, as old Mother Grogan said, and when I make water, I make water. By Jove, it is tea, Haynes said.
Buck Mulligan went on hewing and wheedling.
So I do, Mrs. Cannon, says she. Because, ma'am, says Miss Cannon, God sends cans we make them in the one pot.
He lunged towards his messmates and turned a thick slice of bread impaled on his knife.
That's folk, he said very earnestly, for your book. Haynes, 5 lines of text and 10 pages of notes about the folk and the fish gods of Dundrum, printed by the weird sisters in the year of the big wind.
He turned to Stephen and asked in a fine, puzzled voice, lifting his brows,
Can you recall, brother? Is Mother Grogan's tea and water pot spoken of in the Mabinogion, or is it in the Upanishads?
I doubt it, said Stephen gravely.
Do you now? Buck Mulligan said in the same tone. Your reasons, pray.
I fancy, Stephen said as he ate. You do not exist in or out of Mabinogion. Mother Grogan was, one imagines, a kinswoman of Mary Ann. Buck Mulligan's face smiled with delight.
Charming, he said in
A finical, sweet voice, showing his white teeth and blinking his eyes pleasantly.
Do you think she was? Quite charming.
Then, suddenly overclouding all his features, he growled in a hoarse and rasping voice as he hewed again vigorously at the old.
For old Mary Ann, she doesn't care a damn but hissing up her petticoats.
The doorway was darkened by an entering form. The milk, sir.
Come in, ma'am,
Buck Mulligan said.
Kinch, get the jar.
An old woman came forward and stood by Stephen's elbow. It's a lovely morning, sir, she said. Glory to be God.
To whom?
Mulligan said,
Glancing at her. Ah, to be sure.
Stephen reached back and took the milk jug from the locker.
The islanders,
Mulligan said to Haynes casually, speak frequently of the collector of prepuces.
How much, sir?
Asked the old woman. A quart, Stephen said. He watched her pour into the measure and thence into the jug rich white milk, not hers, old shrunken paps. She poured again a measureful and a tilly. Old in secrets she had entered from a morning world, maybe a messenger. She praised the goodness of the milk, pouring it out, crouching by a patient cow at daybreak in the lush field, a witch on her toadstool, her wrinkled fingers quick at the squirting dugs. They lowed about her whom they knew, dew silky cattle, silk of the kine and poor old woman, names given her in the old times, a wandering crone, lowly form of an immortal serving her conqueror and her gay betrayer, their common cock-queen, a messenger from the secret morning, to serve or to upbraid, whether he could not tell, but scorn to beg her favour.
It is indeed, ma'am, Buck Mulligan said, pouring milk into their cups.
Taste it, sir, she said. He drank it at her bidding.
If we could only live on good food like that, he said to her somewhat loudly, we wouldn't have the country full of rotten teeth and rotten guts. Living in a bog swamp, eating cheap food, and the streets paved with dust, choice tongue, and consumptive spits.
Are you a medical student, sir? The old woman asked.
I am, ma'am,
Buck Mulligan answered. Stephen listened in scornful silence.
She bows her old head to a voice that speaks to her loudly. Her bone setter, her medicine, then. Me she slights, to the voice that will strive and oil for the grave all there is of her, but her woman's unclean loins, of man's flesh made not in God's likeness, the serpent's prey, and to the loud voice that now bids her be silent with wondering, unsteady eyes. Do you understand what he says?
Stephen asked her.
Is it French you were talking, sir?
The old woman said to Haynes. Haynes spoke to her again in a longer speech, confidently.
Irish,
Buck Mulligan said.
Is there Gaelic on you?
I thought it was Irish, she said. By the sound of it. Are you from the West, sir?
I am an Englishman,
Haynes answered.
He's English,
Buck Mulligan said.
and he thinks we ought to speak Irish in Ireland.
Sure we ought to, the old woman said, and I'm ashamed I don't speak the language myself. I'm told it's a grand language by them that knows.
Grand is no name for it, said Buck Mulligan. Wonderful entirely. Fill us out some more tea, Kinch. Would you like a cup, ma'am?
No, thank you, sir, the other woman said, slipping the ring of the milk can on her forearm and about to go. Haynes said to her,
Have you the bill? We better pay her, Mulligan, hadn't we?
Stephen filled again the 3 cups. Bill, sir, she said, halting. Well, it's 7 mornings a pint at 2 pence, and 7 tears is a shilling, and 2 pence over on these 3 mornings. A quart at 4 pence is 3 quarts is a shilling, and 1 and 2 is 2 and 2, sir. Buck Mulligan sighed, and having filled his mouth with crusty, thickly buttered on both sides, stretched forth his legs and began to search his trouser pockets.
Pay up and look pleasant, Haynes said to him, smiling.
Stephen filled the 3rd cup, a spoonful of tea, coloring faintly the thick, rich milk. Buck Mulligan brought up a florin, twisted it round in his fingers, and cried,
A miracle!
He passed it along the table towards the old woman, saying,
Ask nothing more of me, sweet. All I can give you, I give.
Stephen laid the coin in her uneager hand.
Blown twin piece, he said.
Time enough, sir, she said, taking the coin. Time enough. Good morning, sir. She curtsied and went out, followed by Buck Mulligan's tender chant.
Heart of mine, were it more would be laid at your feet.
He turned to Stephen and said,
Seriously, Daedalus, I'm stony. Hurry out to your school kip and bring us back some money. Today the bards must drink in junket. Ireland expects that every man this day will do his duty. That reminds me,
Haynes said, rising.
I have to visit your National Library today. Or swim first, Buck Mulligan said.
He turned to Stephen and asked blandly,
Is this the day of your monthly wash, Kinch?
Then he said to Haynes,
The unclean bard makes a point of washing once a month.
All Ireland is washed by the Gulf Stream, Stephen said as he let his honey trickle over a slice of the loaf. Haynes from the corner, where he was knotting easily a scarf about the loose collar of his tennis shirt, spoke.
I'm to make a collection of your sayings if you let me.
Speaking to me.
They wash and tub and scrub. Eigenbite of Inuit. Conscience. Yet here's a spot. What about the cracked looking glass of a servant being the symbol of Irish art is deuce good?
Buck Mulligan kicked Stephen's foot under the table and said with warmth of tone,
Wait till you hear about Hamlet, Haynes.
Well, I mean it, Haynes said it, still speaking to Stephen.
I was just thinking of when that poor old creature came in.
Did I make money by it? Stephen asked.